And Bonner not starting. It is Anthony with Starks in the backcourt. Smith up front, along with Oakley and Ewing. And the officials, Jake O'Donnell, Ron Garrison, and Bennett Salvatore. As we get ready for Game 4 of this best-of-7, the Knicks with that 2-1 lead. Game 5 will take place Wednesday at Madison Square Garden in New York. And immediately a discussion with Pete Myers and Charles Smith battling for position on the opening tip, and Bennett Salvatore came over. And now Patrick Ewing wants John Starks on the other side of Scottie Pippen. And we finally get underway. Starks controlling. Off the spin. Gives the Knicks a 2-0 lead.
Well, right away, the aggressiveness of John Starks taking a little toll on B.J. Armstrong as he just went right at him and dared him to make a defensive play. Both teams are going to have to be very careful, keep their poise. The officials are going to keep a close eye early.
B.J. Armstrong, who has had a sensational series, not able to hit. Rebounded by Charles Smith, and a foul is called. Cartwright called for the foul. Bill Cartwright got off to a fast start here on Friday night with 10 of his 14 points in the first quarter. The Bulls did an excellent job defensively against Patrick Ewing, who was not able to get going until the fourth quarter. And as you can see right here, Ewing is forced out, not able to get the good position. Here's Smith. Well, Charles Smith giving the Knicks a 4-0 lead.
He gives a perimeter presence to the Knicks, as does John Starks. So all the double teaming of Patrick Ewing will make it that much more difficult for the Bulls to rotate out.
Pippen off the mark with that three-point attempt. Knicks very conscious, getting off to a fast start. Ewing, very difficult angle shot, and Oakley was fouled. Charles Oakley has been on the quiet side the last two games after the strong effort in helping the Knicks pull out Game 1. He and Anthony Mason controlling the boards in Game 1 at Madison Square Garden. So Oakley to the line. He was fouled by Myers.
Neither team have been big factors on the offensive boards in the series, the exception Game 3 when the Chicago Bulls did an excellent job in the first three quarters. Bill Wennington came off the bench to give some offensive boards. Also Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright. But mainly the reason for that is there haven't been a lot of shots. Been a lot of fouls called, a lot of free throw shooting, and normally the Chicago Bulls are a team that does not shoot a lot of fouls.
Ewing with the back tap, rescued by Oakley. Smith had it knocked away by Pippen. Anthony. Rebounded by Cartwright. Bulls are down 5-0. Minute and 40 gone by, and a foul is called. Foul on Starks, trying to help out with the double team.
Well, the New York Knicks known for their hand checking, in particular Derek Harper, who is suspended for the next couple of games, but John Starks is good as anybody at getting up into people and putting his hands on people.
Pete Myers, a one-time New York Knick, guarded by John Starks. Bill Cartwright. Cartwright bottled up. He thought he was fouled. Anthony with the breakaway. Oh, Pippen with the hustle play to break it up. Rejected by Smith.
Well, Pat Riley was very upset with Greg Anthony on not taking that shot. However, he didn't say anything to him. He wants to keep his confidence as high a level as possible.
Charles Oakley extending to a 7-0 Knick lead. And a timeout called by the Bulls. Chicago 0 for 4 from the field. The Knicks 7 and the Bulls nothing. Back in Chicago in a moment.
Will be following that, but there were times when I went away from Michael and he was unhappy after the game. There were times when I've gone to B.J. Armstrong and Pippen when Michael was on the ball club, and I knew that it was displeasing him. But you have to do that as a coach when everybody's focusing in a certain area and you have that feeling and the intuition's right. You got to ride with it. That's what it's all about.
That's why Phil Jackson gets the big bucks. He makes those decisions. He's the chief, and the Indians have to follow those orders.
Bulls now 0 for 5 from the field off that wild attempt by Pete Myers. Shot clock is at 4. And knocked out of bounds. It'll be Nick Ball with 4 on the 24. I asked Phil prior to the game, was there ever any thought of suspending Scottie Pippen? As Anthony unleashes and hits a three-pointer with 1 on the 24. And the Knicks now lead by the count of 10-0. Phil told me that he and general manager Jerry Krause claims they did consider suspension and then decided not to do it. But you really wonder if a club in this position, although you'd like to take a high stand in terms of principle, but you look at the reality of it, as Pippen has called for that foul, his first, a lot of money at stake. Bulls certainly would like the series to extend. Would like to see another home game here in Chicago against the Knicks. The series on the line. I mean, if Pippen is suspended, forget it.
Well, it depends on what your team philosophy is and what your rules are and how you enforce those rules. And to try to make that decision on a one-day basis and with so many factors going about, it's difficult for Phil and Jerry to get together and do that. And a lot of times you insulate yourself so much as a team that you don't really pay attention to what's going on the outside. And you have to keep it in the family and make a quick decision.
But for a regular season, would you think Pippen would have been suspended?
Very, very strong possibility.
Or for another player, there'd be no question about it. Meanwhile, the Bulls are down 12-0. This is the Knicks' biggest lead that they've had this series. Pippen with the rebound. Pippen off the fake. It counts. And the foul.
Personal foul on Charles Smith. His first.
Charles Smith called for the foul, and the Bulls finally score.
Well, there's no question which team has had the lively bodies coming out to start this ball game, and really the Bulls have not looked good on any offensive sequence. They're just a hustle scramble play by Pippen to get the three-point play.
They were blank for 3 minutes and 41 seconds of this first quarter. Knicks now lead 12-3. Once again, Ewing is forced wide. Oakley gives it right back. Patrick Ewing, who has the outstanding touch, extends to a 14-3 lead.
A forced shot there with 10 seconds on the shot clock, so things going the Knicks' way. They get the last second shot, a three-pointer by Greg Anthony, so they're on a roll.
Pippen for 3. Yes. Scottie Pippen with the Bulls 5 points. 6 points. The Knicks now lead 14-6. And here's pressure by Chicago. It's a 5-second violation. The Knicks have had problems with pressure defense. And Oakley was upset. Nobody came back for the ball.
Scottie Pippen squaring up and getting an excellent look there. It looked like he measured that shot a little bit to make sure that he released it very well. Still looks to me like the Bulls are thinking out there and not really relaxed yet. But if they can put that kind of defensive pressure on the Knicks, that can get some easy baskets, and that's what they need to beat New York.
Now Pippen posting up on Smith. And find the shot, goes to the hook. Back comes Smith, broken up by Grant. But Phil Jackson has to be happy. Coaches always love deflections, and it broke the Knick pattern. And Horace hears it from the crowd.
Well, Horace Grant, one of the best big forwards, and maybe the only big forward who can get in the backcourt and create that kind of havoc.
Knicks 5 of 7 from the field here at the start. Starks coming off the screen. Cartwright able to chase it down. Pass from Myers. Here's Oakley. And the ball back to Chicago.
And Scottie Pippen stepping up to take that hard charge by Charles Oakley, and the crowd showing their appreciation for that. And that was no flop. He took that thing head on, a page out of the New York Knicks book. It was interesting on the last possession by Chicago, Charles Oakley fronting the post player, Horace Grant, something that hurt the Knicks quite a bit in the first 3 quarters the other night. On an earlier possession going into Bill Cartwright, Patrick Ewing played behind. So it looks like they're going to mix it up and read the situation.
Foul on Oakley is first. Steve Kerr has come on for Pete Myers. Steve Kerr has had trouble getting his shots off in this series. Pippen with no trouble at all in this first quarter. He has all of Chicago's points. The Knicks lead 14-8. 6:20 to go in this first quarter. Ewing. And Pippen was looking for an offensive foul. That's the second committed by Pippen.
Oh, here both going for the ball out of there as Bill Cartwright, the man that he was traded to Chicago for some 6 years ago, is trying to push Oakley out of the way to pick up Scottie Pippen, and Oakley showing what he thought of that. There's no question why these players are going to be very, very testy the longer this series goes. It's a lot of history between these two teams over the last 3 years in particular.
And now the hero of Friday night's game, hearing it from the crowd. Tony Kukoc comes on, replacing Scottie Pippen. So Scottie Pippen, picking up 2 early fouls, has to sit down despite the fact that he has all of Chicago's 8 points. The Knicks 16 and the Bulls 8. And the Bulls now with Armstrong and Kerr in the backcourt. Cartwright, Grant, and Kukoc up front. Cartwright rejected, and he is fouled by Ewing. Pretty lead pass thrown by Kukoc, who is an excellent passer.
Oh, he is, mainly because of his height, and he's got a knack for it as well. That time, Patrick Ewing getting caught in between, not really getting on top or three-quartering, as we call it, when you get on the man's top shoulder, not fronting, and really no contact from behind. And Cartwright using his body very well. You know, a lot of things got lost in the controversy of the night. A lot of good performances. In particular, Phil Cartwright had a fantastic game, especially early because of the fronting done on him. The tremendous shot by Kukoc, and the great pass by Pete Myers. And look at the production by Bill Cartwright in game number 3 to compare to the other games. But a lot of that was due to the way he was defended by the New York Knicks.
Cartwright with 10 of those 14 in the first quarter. Had another strong performance, as Ahmad indicated, in the locker room after the game as he unleashed at Scottie Pippen. For Pippen taking himself out of the game with 1 8/10 seconds remaining, and that led to Pippen apologizing to the ball club. And the Bulls are now trying to put that all behind them. Smith way off. Oakley with the save. Shot clock at 1 starts, and it's a 24-second violation.
You mentioned Bill Cartwright in the locker room. Actually, he was one of the Chicago Bulls, along with Johnny Bach, the assistant coach, who went down to Scottie Pippen and tried to talk him into going back to the game. And Cartwright sat next to Pippen during that last shot by Kukoc, and he looked like a very disappointed father sitting there.
B.J. Armstrong cutting it to a 4-point Knick lead. 5:25 remaining in this first quarter. Bulls in the midst of a 12-4 run. Ewing getting inside, and the tip handled by Oakley. So the Knicks now lead 18-12.
The more double teaming and the more help that has to come to Patrick Ewing, that opens up offensive rebounding opportunities for people like Oakley and Smith and Mason when he comes into the ballgame.
And the foul called on Greg Anthony.
Hear that lead pass to Ewing as Horace Grant coming over to help out as Cartwright was clearly beaten, and that left the opening for Charles Oakley to get the easy.
Both teams have 14 fouls. And back comes Starks. Starks back in the starting lineup. He has been coming off the bench. John Starks with his second field goal. John Starks has made it back very strong from the arthroscopic knee surgery. He's given the Knicks an 8-point lead. Cartwright. Bill Cartwright able to work the baseline.
Well, that's a Robert Parrish move, that quick catch and hard spin on the baseline, and Patrick Ewing got caught standing straight up.
Chicago by 6. Starks got the step. Oh, beautiful beautiful shot by John Starks as he beats Steve Kerr along the baseline. The Knicks 22 and the Bulls 14.
And Steve just barked at Tony Kukoc as he made a defensive error on that particular play. Not supposed to get beat to the baseline like that.
Kukoc backing Smith. Kukoc. And a loose ball foul called on the Knicks. Kukoc looking for the offensive follow, tripped up by Oakley.
Actually, Kukoc is a very good post player. He's clever inside, backing in here. And when he's played one-on-one, he uses those long arms and good footwork to get shots like that. And he was pushed from behind. But anytime Scottie Pippen is on the bench, the Bulls certainly lose a lot in the ball handling department and running fast breaks. So you have to have a guy like Kukoc who's a creator out there, but he can also be a factor inside.
Luke Longley has played well in this series. Has come on. Giving no Conrad a rest. Here's John Paxson, who's been spotted during the course of this series. B.J. Armstrong sits down. 1 out of 4 for B.J. Phil Jackson now has a backcourt of Paxson and Kerr. Up front, Longley, Kukoc, and Grant. And Bennett Salvatore calling a lane violation on Anthony Mason, who just checked in. The Knicks hit with lane violations twice on Friday night.
Actually, you have to wait till that ball is released. Mason cheating a little bit right there as you look at the Bulls lineup right now. That's not a strong defensive club out there. No real speed or quickness in the backcourt with Kerr and Paxson. Kukoc very weak. Longley just there. And Horace Grant, the only good defender.
Knick lead is now 6. Ewing facing a double team. Kukoc came over. Longley knocks it aside. The Knicks with 6 on the 24. Luke Longley hearing the chant of Luke. How clever. Starks for 3. In effect, Kukoc is serving as the point guard in this alignment. Backs it off the screen. Crowd wants to see him bury one from deep. Grant, Longley on the follow, and then rebounded by Ewing. Lost it to Grant. The Knicks 22, the Bulls 18.
And it's opportunity plays on the offensive board that is keeping the Bulls in this ballgame.
Smith got down low. Smith rejected. Smith's pass picked off by Grant. Kerr gets the look. Mason able to back tap. Here comes Starks. Mason, that's an unusual shot. Not a good one. Anthony Mason trying a fadeaway.
Very poor decision there. And what I say about this Bulls team not being very good defensively, they got some help there from Mason. But on the 2 trips before, played exceptional defense.
Kukoc got the step. Nice feed for Longley. And the Bulls have come roaring back. They are within 2. This following the strong Knicks start. And Pat Riley wants to talk it over.
They should be at the Soldier Field for the Bears for that situation. And people are making light of that right now. It was an ugly scene the other night right in front of the commissioner and just to the left of us when the fight spilled over to the crowd. Luckily, nobody hurt.
The Knicks opened up with a 12-0 lead. Since then, Chicago with a 20-10 advantage. Just under 2 minutes to go. First quarter. Scott Williams has come on for the first time. Williams, Longley, and Kukoc on the front line with Kerr and Paxson at the guards. Here's Kerr. And Mason with the rebound. Anthony Bonner has checked in. So Bonner, Mason, Ewing up front. Anthony and Starks in the backcourt. Starks played by Paxson. The play by Scott Williams.
Well, the Bulls have been doing an excellent job of reaching in and knocking balls loose to actually disrupt the New York offense. Nothing looks smooth for them these last 4 or 5 minutes.
Kukoc off the dribble, sets up Paxson. Yes! John Paxson comes in with the open jump shot, and he has tied the game at 22.
Kukoc's ability to drive and get into the lane and create that defense coming towards him has opened up some outside shots for both Kerr and Paxson.
Illegal defense called for the first time against the Bulls.
John Paxson, what a beautiful looking jump shot when he gets his feet under him, shoulders squared up to the basket. He's got a pretty release in all of basketball.
And John Paxson saying the other day that I'm done, I can't jump, my shot has gone flat. Looked pretty good on that last jump shot. Kukoc off the steal. Sets up Williams. Scott Williams! Yes, and a touch.
The Knicks personal foul on Anthony Barner. His first penalty.
Tony Kukoc in the middle of just about every play. At the defensive end, he is deflecting balls, knocking them loose, running the break in the middle in the half-court offense, penetrating and kicking as he's doing it all for the Chicago Bulls right now.
Three-point play for Scott Williams. The Bulls have their first lead of the game. They're up 25-22. The Knicks have not scored in their last 7 possessions. Nice move by Ewing. Crowd looking for a travel. And the Knicks are now within 1. The Bulls getting superb play from Tony Kukoc, who came on for Scottie Pippen after Pippen. Off to the good start, picked up 2 fouls. Here is Luke Longley going to the left hand, rebounded by Bonner. Down to 15 seconds remaining first quarter. Knicks with the ball, trailing by 1. Ewing setting the pick. Bonner lost it. Kukoc from center court firing. Well, the Bulls turning it after they were down 12-0. Scottie Pippen came out strong. 3 out of 5 for 8 points.
Zone in on our main offensive weapon. I mean, they're smart. They know what we're about. They know where we can hurt them the most, and so they double them, they triple them, they bring 3 big guys in on them. Bill Cartwright has made a career out of it, and also a science out of defending Patrick and post people. So they work him. They work Patrick real hard, and he's going to have to get some help. I mean, Charles Smith and Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley, they're going to have to own the other side when they're doing that kind of work on Patrick. But they've done a good job defensively on him.
All right, Mark, during that quarter break, Phil Jackson was emphasizing to his team that they definitely want to keep the pressure on Patrick Ewing, making work very hard, and hopefully wear him out so that he's not as effective as he was on Friday night in the fourth quarter. On the other hand, with Scottie Pippen out and Kukoc playing well, they've given a chance for Pippen to rest, and maybe he'll be fresh in the fourth quarter today. Mark?
You saw a nice move by Kukoc. Mason able to answer with the corner jump shot as the second quarter gets underway. The Bulls 27 and the Knicks 26. Here's Kukoc snapping it back to Longley. Longley does have the good outside shot, and that was assist number 5 for the man they called the waiter in his European playing days because of the way he sets up his teammates. Tony Kukoc. And now Scottie Pippen is back. Hubert Davis has checked in for the first time. Hubert coming off the bench today. Good defense here by Chicago. Anthony had a force it and is rebounded by Longley. Bonner with the steal attempt and ends up on the floor. The ball will go back for Chicago.
Well, with Paxson, Pippen, and Kukoc, the so-called small players in the ballgame right now, it's good hustle by Anthony Bonner to take that ball away from Longley. Just cannot save it as it goes out of bounds. They have the unusual backcourt situation. That'll put Pippen as the so-called shooting guard, and he'll be defended by Hubert Davis going the other way. Pippen is looking to guard Greg Anthony because they don't really respect his shot that much. That'll enable Scottie to gamble and get out on the break and maybe get some breakaways.
Kukoc playing with much confidence. Played well first half of the season, then tailed off and had a good playoff series against the Cavaliers. The rejection by Ewing. Recovered by Pippen. He checked the shot clock. Fires it up. Scott Williams with the hustle play against Greg Anthony, and Williams deflected it out.
Good hustle by Scott Williams as both teams are going for every loose ball. As Kukoc making that drive, able to ward off Anthony Bonner, but Patrick Ewing reading the play beautiful, not only blocking the shot, but keeping it in play, and just the quickness of Scottie Pippen, able to track down that loose ball.
2 minutes gone by in the second. Marv Albert, Matt Guokas, and Ahmad Rashad from Chicago Stadium. Game 4 of the best of 7. Pippen got a piece of it. Mason on the recovery. And it's rebounded by Pippen.
There's that ability of Pippen able to get away from Anthony and go in and help out, get in the lane and create havoc, and he knocked that ball loose.
Nice touch pass from Longley, setting up Williams.
That is a beautiful pass by Luke Longley. One of the things the Bulls coaching staff think he has a great ability to do, to make that instinctive little touch pass, that little drop off to the cutter and things like that. They just don't like him when he's taking a lot of perimeter jump shots.
Bulls lead 31-26. Kukoc with the steal. Tony Kukoc, a major factor here this evening. He was fouled by Gilbert Davis. Time is called. 9:09 remaining, first half. Well, the Chicago Bulls, no strangers to overcoming controversy. Flashback to last season's playoff series following game number 1 in New York. Michael Jordan made his little sojourn to Atlantic City, and all broke loose. It led to the Bulls losing to the Knicks in game number 2. And Jordan had that 3 for 18 shooting performance, and then came right back with the 54 points in game number 3, and the Bulls went on to win 4 straight to knock off the Knicks. Here are the Chicago Bulls coming off the Scottie Pippen incident at the end of game 5. Crowd wanted a palm on Starks. Davis fires, rebounded by Oakley, and a foul on Longley. But the Bulls to this point have reacted well after all broke loose concerning Scottie Pippen taking himself out of the game. The Knicks opened up with that 12-0 start, but Chicago able to come back strong. They have outscored the Knicks 31-14 the last 12 minutes. And you get the idea they put it all behind them once again.
Well, they're out there really playing outstanding defense, quick with their feet, active with their hands. They have forced 10 turnovers by the New York Knicks. They're getting their share of fast breaks, and in the half-court setting, guys like Tony Kukoc able to beat people off the dribble and getting good shots for people.
The difference, of course, with the Chicago Bulls these days is number 23 is not on hand. And as a public service, we mentioned that Michael Jordan is, let's see, with the Birmingham Barons opening a 2-game series against Memphis, and they are just getting underway right now. Jordan struck out last night as a pinch hitter. He's hitting .255 in 30 games. Scott Williams. So I'm assuming that Michael is not able to be tuned in for this one here tonight.
Unless they have a television in the dugout.
In the dugout, yes. Here's Starks. Oakley able to wrestle it free. Who came on for Patrick Ewing. Nice touch by Herb Williams, and the Knicks are down by 1.
So far, I'd have to say the Knicks are missing Derek Harper. Their half-court offense has not looked smooth. The one thing that is keeping them close in this ballgame is the 6 offensive rebounds by Charles Oakley.
And Kukoc foul. Starks throwing himself at the combination of Pippen, who was setting a screen, and Kukoc. Starks with a second. Looks like Pippen was shaken up, as was Kukoc.
Well, as it was said at the beginning of this series, just about every play there's going to be some kind of a confrontation. Here we have the collision actually between Starks and Pippen, as Kukoc took that shot right above the right hip.
And both Pippen and Kukoc took the brunt of that shot. Both appear to be all right. Bill Wennington, who played well in a 7-minute stint on Friday, has come on for Luke Longley, who sits down 2 of 4, 4 points. Scott Williams, Bill Wennington, Horace Grant on the front line, Scottie Pippen, and B.J. Armstrong now in the backcourt. Grant with the hustle rebound. Armstrong off the fake. And a foul call. Bennett Salvatore indicating a block on Mason. Tony Kukoc back on the bench. For more on that, let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Mark, Tony Kukoc took a shot to his right hip. Chip Schaefer, the trainer, told me he's fine. What they want to do is put some ice on it, and he'll be able to play. Mark?
All about a technical foul was just called on Anthony Mason. Pat Riley has been attempting to calm Mason down. Anthony Mason gets involved excessively in arguing with the officials, and it has cost him. It has hurt Mason and the ball club. And now Riley pointing at Mason, who ran over to him. And they had a brief discussion. Anthony Mason among the leaders. That is a dubious distinction among the leaders in technical fouls. That was a dangerous pass thrown by Wennington, but able to get away with it as Grant put it down.
Well, that was, Marv, but they're making a lot of good passes, and when you move the ball like that against the New York Knicks, their defense cannot catch up with it. They'd like you to put the ball in the basket and move in that east-west direction rather than north-south, but the Bulls are beating them both ways.
Davis ran into Wennington. A tough follow. And a foul called on the Bulls. 7:19 remaining in the second quarter. Bulls lead 34-30, and off this battle for the loose ball, Bill Wennington is called for that foul from behind.
Charles Oakley, one of the more difficult customers in the NBA to keep off the offensive boards. He has 7 of them right now, and you have to start early with him. You have to get a body on him before he gets around the basket because he is just too strong and takes up too much space.
Charles 3 of 4 from the line. Very much involved in the offense here in the first half, coming off a quiet game on Friday night. Patrick Ewing is back, replacing Herb Williams. So the Knicks have Ewing, Oakley, and Smith up front. Starks and Davis in the backcourt. That means that John Starks will operate as the point guard in this combination. Bulls lead 34-32.
It'll be interesting with this lineup to see if the Bulls get to the foul line, if they put their full court press on, especially with Anthony Mason out of the ballgame, who is usually the guy the Knicks use to break the trap.
Armstrong on a pull-up. Grant able to get to it. Oh, Scottie Pippen nearly stepped on the line. Pat Riley thought he did. Horace Grant with 6 points, and the Bulls now lead by 4. But Jake O'Donnell indicated that Pippen did not make contact with the midcourt line. Would have been a backcourt violation. Here's Davis for 3. Rebounded by Grant. Horace Grant, very quiet off the boards. First 2 games, has come to life in that department. Scott Williams off the good look from Scottie Pippen. The Bulls playing very smart basketball. Lead now by 6.
Every mistake by the New York Knicks, the Bulls are cashing in, and they're doing it with excellent passing and unselfish team play. A mix-up defensively as Patrick Ewing fell asleep, didn't realize that Scott Williams was playing the center position, and they get the easy land. Loose ball came out to Scottie Pippen. Jake O'Donnell, the referee there, does not have the best angle, but makes the right call as Scottie Pippen's heel was above the line, as Pat Riley thought he saw it differently as he pointed at Jake O'Donnell, but not a big argument.
Bulls have a 6-point lead as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in the half. Smith. Good play by Scott Williams, knocked it away from Charles Smith, leaving 7 on the shot clock. The Knicks with 11 turnovers in this first half, and the Bulls with only 1. 11 turnovers by New York. Nice play by Starks, setting up Smith. Bulls 38, the Knicks 34. Scott Williams working against Charles Smith. Williams isolated, does not have the shot, and is fouled. Charles Smith called for his second.
The team's score.
During that last timeout, Ahmad Rashad telling us from the Bulls bench that Phil Jackson wanting his front line of Grant, Wennington, and Scott Williams to run the floor as hard as possible. They don't feel the Knicks are getting back defensively in transition, in particular the front line in New York.
Horace Grant has been hitting the outside shot throughout this series. Williams taking advantage of another Knick turnover, setting up Pippen. The Bulls 42 and the Knicks 34. Well, Pat Riley telling us before the game his intent was to not fall over the first 3 quarters, to fall behind as they have in the previous games. Patrick Ewing with a strong move. He has 8 points, and the Knicks were able to ignite at the start. They led 12-0, but the Bulls have come back with this furious rush. And again, we could be in a situation that's an offensive foul on Williams. It could come down to the fourth quarter again for the Knicks, as it has the previous 3 games.
Now Scotty Williams driving the right baseline as hard as he can to draw the defense, and the maybe early celebration here, but the Bulls taking advantage of every opportunity, and the crowd, no question, has been a big factor in this first half.
Scott Williams with a strong effort, sitting down, 7 points. Williams, who has always been a spark during the playoffs. Bill Wennington also heads to the bench. Bill Cartwright is back. Pete Myers has come on. The Bulls bench accounting for 17 points. They have certainly lifted this club in the first half. The Bulls have outscored the Knicks 42-24 after that 12-0 start, and a foul call. It's on Cartwright, his second. Earlier today, as we finish things up, third part of our NBA triple-header playoff coverage on NBC. Indiana Pacers with a 102-86 victory over Atlanta. They are now up 3-1. And how about Houston? After losing 2 straight at home, they beat Phoenix twice in Phoenix. 107-96 the final this afternoon. Akeem Olajuwon at 28 points. That series is now tied at 2. Here comes Pippen. Armstrong. Got the step on Starks. Bulls 44, the Knicks 36.
Well, Anthony and Oakley went crashing to the floor at the other end, and that opened up the fast break chance for the Chicago Bulls. So far, B.J. Armstrong somewhat quiet, now 2 for 7, and he has been having an outstanding offensive series.
Oh, the strip by Myers took it out of the hands of Starks. Pippen with the look away for Armstrong. The Bulls open up a 10-point lead. Starks and Myers almost got involved. Little shove from Starks as the 22nd timeout was called.
And it doesn't matter who Phil Jackson puts into the ballgame. Every player he picks comes up with a big play. Here's Pete Myers coming from behind to take it away from John Stark. And look at the nice little look-off by Scottie Pippen to deliver to B.J. Armstrong. Scottie Pippen, one of the best in the league, handling on the break.
And the story of this series, the extra push, the extra nudge. We've seen it right throughout, and that has led to explosives right here as the 22nd timeout was called. Starks and Myers got involved. These are both fiery guys. A little extra shove that time by John Starks, getting involved with one-time New York Knick, Pete Myers.
But when you're guarding an outstanding player who runs the baseline and uses screens, you have to keep body contact. Now, it's up to the officials to decide what is too much, and it's also up to the players to adjust to how the game is being called.
3:45 to go in the half, and the Knicks now trail the Bulls by 10. Cartwright doing the job, fronting Ewing now, trying to help out on Starks. Charles Oakley complaining that he was fouled.
John Starks doing a terrific job of just driving the ball to the basket as hard as he can to try to create some plays, and he's doing an outstanding job so far today.
Armstrong could not handle that snap pass from Cartwright. Here's Anthony. Look, Anthony not able to put it down. But the Knicks get the new 24.
Greg looks a little bit tight. He had a fast break in the first quarter and didn't take the shot, threw it behind him. There he had a clean layup and just squeezed it out of his hands. He's not loose.
Well, the other night, Pat Riley went with Corey Gaines for 15 minutes down the stretch of the game. Starks called for the offensive foul. I asked Pat why Gaines rather than come back with Anthony, and he said, well, sometimes there are other agendas involved when Greg Anthony is on the floor looking a bit too much for the shot, and he knows with a guy like Gaines, as you watch the offensive foul by Starks, all he wants to do is distribute the ball, and that's it. That's what they were looking for. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Stadium with 2 minutes and 48 seconds to go in the first half, and the Bulls with a 46-38 lead on the Knicks. John Starks sitting down after collecting his third foul. The Knicks with 14 turnovers. They averaged 16 per game this series. The Bulls with only 3. Starks with 4 of those 14 turnovers. Armstrong and Myers in the backcourt. Cartwright, Grant, and Pippen up front. Cartwright called for steps. Traveling violation. So a rare turnover committed by Chicago.
Bill, that time actually got a little help from Patrick Ewing on the shove out, and in his effort to try to get around Patrick Ewing, took the extra step, and a good call by referee Jake O'Donnell on the baseline.
Anthony and Davis in the backcourt for the Knicks with Oakley, Smith, and Ewing up front. Smith getting position and then foul. Charles Smith was able to set up down low. Took the hit from Horace Grant for Grant his first.
Every time the Knicks run a screen across in the lane, that big man wants to stop dead, as Charles Smith did there with excellent position inside. And there is no double or triple team that can stop you there, although the Bulls defense did converge to commit that foul. But every time they run that screen across, either for Charles Smith or Ewing, it's been a good opportunity.
Charles Smith made it back from arthroscopic knee surgery. Played well against the Nets in the first round of the playoffs. Has not been getting that same kind of playing time against the Bulls. That because Anthony Mason has emerged in the series against Chicago. And Mason in the series against the Nets was coming back from that 3-game suspension. So I don't think things were that comfortable at the time for Mason, but a different story in this series. Bulls lead 46-39 as we come up on 2 minutes to go in the first half. Marv Albert, Frank Dukas, and Ahmad Rashad from Chicago Stadium. Pippen, yes. 12 points for Pippen. He's played very well. 5 of 9 from the field, along with 4 rebounds. He picked up the 2 early fouls, and when he went out, Tony Duque coach came on and played brilliantly. Here's Oakley, open shot. Oakley able to chase it down. They doubled up on Ewing, and the pass picked off. Armstrong protected the ball well against Anthony. Caught Pippen with the right hand, and that is a foul. Jake O'Donnell calling the foul. A hard foul by Anthony, and he's calling it a flagrant foul.
Or 2, I think it's just going to be 2 shots, Marv, as he's going to call it an intentional elbow and a high one to the head area. Actually, he catches Scotty right under the chin. Not a flagrant foul, but an elbowing foul. It'll be 2 shots for Pippen.
Right, an intentional, as you say, not a flagrant.
As Scottie Pippen is just clearing to the corner there, and I don't think Anthony meant anything in the beginning of the play, but as Pippen started to bear down on him a little bit, that arm went up and the elbow right to the Adam's apple of Scottie Pippen, and a foolish foul right in front of the referee, or any time for that matter.
So the Bulls now lead 50 to 39. A minute and 20 remaining in the first half. Crowd reacting as Ewing was battling for possession. Down to 1 minute remaining, first half. Armstrong for Cartwright. Seconds to go in the half. Smith. Nice move by Charles Smith. He has 9 points. The Bulls 50 and the Knicks 41. Pippen's pass battled away. Armstrong up the recovery. It's a three-pointer for B.J. Armstrong. He now has 10 and the Bulls lead by 12.
B.J. was aware of the shot clock there, or I should say the second quarter clock, 32 seconds, a 2-for-1 situation. It looked like a rush shot, but a smart one.
Illegal defense. Called out the Bulls, so that will be a technical foul. It's their second violation. Tony Kukoc getting set to come on.
The defense by both teams in this first half has been frenetic. Outstanding by both ball clubs. But in the case of New York and their half-court offense, they are being forced to rush everything. And Scottie Pippen goes to the bench to the tremendous ovation here at Chicago Stadium as he has had an unbelievable first half. And there was some concern as to how he would play today and how he would be received by his fans. So far, those questions have been answered.
Scottie Pippen, 5 of 9, 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. 19 seconds to go in this first half. Bulls have a 12-point lead as the Knicks hold for a final shot. Anthony able to beat Armstrong off the dribble. Anthony stripped by Myers. Myers for Kukoc gets it off. Would not have counted. So Pippen with 14, hopefully winning the next 11. And the Bulls have a 53-41 lead on the Knicks. Stay tuned for the Prudential halftime report with Bob Costas after this from your local station. At point guard in the absence of the suspended Derek Harper. Scottie Pippen with 14. B.J. Armstrong has been Chicago's most consistent player throughout the series. He has 10. Horace Grant has done a good job. 4 of 6. 8 points. And Scott Williams providing a spark off the bench. 3 of 4 in his 9 minutes of play for 7 points.
And of course, Tony Kukoc not scoring that many points, but creating a lot of opportunities with 5 assists and actually doing a very good job defensively with deflections and steals.
The Knicks opened up with a 12-0 lead. Since then, the Bulls have outscored them 53-29. And remember, Scottie Pippen picked up those early fouls. He had 2 in a hurry, and then Kukoc came on and did that nice job. Pippen off the mark as this third quarter gets started. Starks and Anthony in the backcourt. Ewing, Smith, and Oakley up front. The steal by Pippen. The Bulls 55. The Knicks 41.
Well, the casual, lazy pass by Greg Anthony, and Scottie Pippen saw it coming a mile away.
Pippen got a piece of it. Myers with a breakaway. Myers. Consecutive steals by the Bulls to start the third quarter. And the Knicks call for time.
Well, this is what assistant coach Johnny Bach calls unleashing the Doberman. Pressure on the basketball, jumping into passing lanes, using your feet and quick hands to create turnovers and easy baskets at the other way. For so many years, Michael Jordan was that main Doberman, but right now it's Scottie Pippen leading the pack. Another deflection as Oakley goes diving. Starks trying to hit Myers, and still the Bulls come out of the pack. And when they turn up the defense to this kind of level, this team is a threat to go very deep into the playoffs.
Bulls with 12 steals. Grant with 4. And Scottie Pippen with 2 steals. Here's Smith. Pippen with the rebound. Oh, what a lead for Grant. The Knicks did not see it. The look-away pass from Pippen. And the Bulls are up 59-41. Now the Chicago Bulls well aware that against the New York Knicks, no lead is big enough. The Knicks have come roaring back each game in the fourth quarter. And the Bulls with an 18-point lead. They led by as many as 22, though, on Friday night. They led by 19 going to the fourth quarter.
Scottie Pippen a little bit winded. He's doing so much in these opening minutes that the little sigh relief in the backcourt.
Ewing with the rebound. Starks with a burst. John Starks beating Pete Myers off the dribble. 59-43 Chicago.
Well, a couple of tired sequences there by Chicago. They came out with such an adrenaline rush with that defense, and I think they probably need a 20-second timeout if something good does not happen on this possession.
Well, Phil Jackson telling us before the game that the stamina question has been a concern of the Bulls. Pippen throws it. Phil has felt that that has been one of the reasons that the Bulls have not played well in the fourth quarter. They've also been rattled come fourth quarter time. After you come back against the team as Ewing is able to hit on his 4th field goal, he has 10 points. Players start thinking about it after they've been caught on a couple of occasions.
And Phil keeps mentioning he feels that the New York Knicks have more depth in his ballpark. But keep in mind, a key New York Knick is out. Starting point guard Derek Harper, and it has shown so far in this ballgame.
Bulls lead by 16. Back comes Starks. Good lead for Smith. Charles Smith got the step on Horace Grant. The Bulls now lead 61-47.
But have given up a couple of easy baskets to New York, which is something they did on very few occasions in the first half.
Right. And back come the Knicks, looking to put a spurt together after the shaky start, with the Bulls coming off with the 2 straight steals. 4 minutes gone by in the third. Here's Anthony. Oakley mistimed, and a foul is called on Oakley.
Loose ball foul, New York. Charles Oakley.
There's Scottie Pippen, and he is in his zone right now. He had his eyes all the way on Pete Myers at the top, and out of the top of his eye catches Horace Grant finishing off that fast break. And again, the early celebration by Chicago. A lot of time left in this game.
Oakley called for his 3rd foul. Hubert Davis has replaced John. Hubert Davis has come on within a 3-guard alignment. He has John Starks, Greg Anthony, along with Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley on the floor. Charles Smith sitting down. Shot clock down at 7. Grant. Horace Grant with 12. The Bulls 63. And the Knicks 47. The Knicks trying to make it 3 games to 1 with Game 5 back in New York on Wednesday. And the Bulls trying to tie the series at 2. Pippen for 3. Scottie Pippen hitting a second from downtown. He has 21. Bulls lead 66-47. And the Knicks call for time. So Scottie Pippen now 8 for 14 from the field.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Edge Aftershave. Ultimate comfort, that's the edge. And by new Ice Brewed Ice Draft from Budweiser. Taste the future of draft beer.
All right, back in Chicago. 5 minutes gone by in the third, and the Bulls with a 66-47 lead on the Knicks. Greg Anthony only 1 of 8 from the field. Gets it off to Hubert Davis, and he buries the three-pointer. Greg Davis, his first field goal. 66-50, Chicago. Myers. Well, Pete Myers with his second bucket. His shooting has been off the last couple of games. Not noted for his shooting, but he's had some interesting misses hitting glass. Side of backcourt. Mason wheeling in. It counts. And the foul.
Well, it's a combination of the Knicks starting to come alive offensively right now and some tired defense on the part of Chicago as Horace Grant letting Mason catch that ball tight to the lane, and nobody for Chicago coming down to try to dig out on that penetration to the lane, and that's one of Mason's favorite moves, using that right hand and little right hand hook shot.
Ahmad telling me earlier that Scottie Pippen said that Anthony Mason is by far the strongest player in the NBA, and he has done a very strong defensive job on Pippen. Usually does not match up with Pippen until the fourth quarter. It's a holding foul on Davis, but the other night he handcuffed Scottie Pippen in the fourth quarter. Pippen was 1 of 4 from the field in that fourth quarter, and he couldn't get shots off against Mason. Now he's being guarded by Starks. Pippen with the turnaround, and the rebound handled by Ewing. Mason gives it up. Knicks swing the ball well. Starks for 3. John Starks, who crushed the Bulls with 2 critical three-point shots back in Game 2, cuts the lead to 12. 5:40 remaining. Third quarter. Grant fouled by Mason. Let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, after that last time out when you saw Scottie Pippen coming off the floor, the first person out to give him a high five was Tony Kukoc. And I think that is a direct result of what happened after that post-game meeting that the team had on Friday as Kukoc and Pippen came together. As I said earlier, I spent about a half an hour with the two of them in the locker room earlier, and they were laughing and joking. I think that's a relationship that has really been solidified after Friday. Marv?
Scottie Pippen and several members of the Bulls in recent years not pleased that someone portrayed as an outsider in Tony Kukoc received the kind of contract that he did before other contracts, particularly their own, were settled. And it has made for tension, although players insist that Pippen and Kukoc do get along well. People always point to the job that Jordan and Pippen did defensively against, the steal by Myers, but he stepped out. The job that Pippen and Kukoc did defensively when the Dream Team went up against Croatia in the Barcelona Olympics.
However, I don't think it really would have mattered who was guarding Tony Kukoc when the Dream Team played them. They were going to overwhelm everybody as Pete Myers tries to tightrope on the sideline there, just catches the white line. But the Knicks are starting to come alive right now. It almost seems as they need to get down 18, 19, 20 before they get the wake-up call.
Armstrong with the steal and a foul. It's on BJ, his first. Well, the Bulls have led by as many as 19. They were up 66-47.
Well, the Chicago Bulls have been in tune with what the Knicks have been trying to do all evening, jumping into the passing lane. Scottie Pippen has picked off a couple. That time Armstrong had that one measured as he got the ball. He actually committed a foul as well.
Davis off the pick from Ewing. Met by Longley on a switch. Davis shooting. Hubert Davis with his second straight. And here come the Knicks. They are now within 12 points. 5 minutes to go. Third quarter. Armstrong won't count. Basket will not count. It's an offensive foul on Armstrong.
All series long, B.J. Armstrong has been coming off on that weave, and Luke Longley in his attempt to try to free up B.J. Armstrong, who really was wide open. Longley picks up the offensive foul with a hip check on Anthony.
So Armstrong with one foul, and it was Longley called for his second. Anthony was wide open and hits the three. The Knicks have hit their last 5 shots. Anthony won for his previous 8, and he's cut it to a 9-point lead, and you know the Bulls are so aware of this pattern. It has continued throughout the series. Scottie Pippen coming up short. Starks on the wing. Pulls up for the 3. Looked over at Pat Riley as if to say, my fault that he rushed the shot. Myers right back and has some words for Ewing off the facial.
And John Starks did look over to Pat once again and said, my fault, bad shot. Pat wasn't so much concerned with the bad shot. He knew it was a bad one. He wanted him to get back on defense.
Bulls lead 72-61. Davis thought he was fouled. And is very fortunate Myers did not convert. Ewing from deep. Patrick Ewing with his 5th field goal. He has 12. The pattern remains the same for Ewing. On the quiet side, here in the early going, but the other night he's able to turn it up in the 4th. Well, the Knicks with a 16-6 run to cut that 19-point lead down to 9 as we approach the 4th quarter. You know, the Bulls are so aware of these stats. The Knicks able to turn it against the Nets down the stretch. And during the course of this series against Chicago, it has been the same story. The Knicks have outscored the Bulls 87-49 in the 4th quarter. Steve Kerr has checked back in along with John Paxson. Here's Longley. Nice move. Rebounded by Ewing.
Ahmad telling us that the Chicago bench talk about more patience for the Bulls in their shot selection in their half-court offense. We felt they were taking too many quick shots, which enabled the Knicks to get down and get some transition baskets.
Foul on Longley.
The Bulls personal foul.
Luke Longley committing his 3rd foul.
As Rolando Blackman has checked into the ballgame, Pat Riley has been searching for a combination in this second half, going with the small team. Davis, Anthony, and Starks. Now Rolando Blackman has replaced John Starks, and Mason gives it another quick play.
Blackman making his first appearance of the game, throwing up a 3-point attempt. Rondo has played only in spots the last couple of games, came off the bench in game 2 and immediately hit a 3-pointer. Not the case here today. Steve Kerr off a screen. As we discussed earlier, Kerr has had trouble locating his shots, always needs help. That time, he received the help.
Nice little pump screen. He knew he was open, got his feet under, but that's the first clean look he got tonight.
It is an offensive foul. Davis called for his 3rd.
Hubert Davis really not setting up there and needlessly pushing off John Paxson to try to come off. Just another case of the impatience of the second-year player, Hubert Davis, who's trying to make a lot of things happen out there. Scottie Pippen gets replaced by Tony Kukoc.
Tony Kukoc providing a spark when he came on in the 1st quarter. Did a good job. Scottie Pippen sitting down with 21 points. Just under 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Kukoc off the fake and foul. Blackman did a good job. Kukoc persisting in getting the shot off, and he drew the foul.
That's what we call a bailout play there. A forced shot by Tony Kukoc, and Blackman appeared to stand straight up, and Tony Kukoc in all kinds of trouble, but winds up on the free throw line. And there's that team again, which I said in the first half looks like a very slow, unaggressive defensive team that really got things going in the middle part of the first half.
Tony Kukoc, a 74% free throw shooter. Bulls lead 76-63. And that matchup is Kukoc and Anthony. Ewing and Longley fighting for position, and the foul is called on Longley.
And the reason why guys like Kukoc and Pippen match up with Anthony when they have these kinds of lineup is that Kukoc, a bigger player, can come down from the top of the key and present that taller double team against Patrick Ewing.
That's 4 on Longley. Kerr knocked it away. Kukoc with the save. Last touch by Ewing. Jake O'Donnell was right there. No argument from Patrick Ewing. Minute 15 remaining. In the third, the Bulls lead by 13. The Knicks have now turned it over 20 times. The Bulls only 6. Kukoc draws the foul. Very difficult matchup for Blackman against the 6'10" Kukoc. And it was last touched, as you see, by Patrick Ewing. Now Tony Kukoc to the foul line. He's 4 for 4 from the line. Tony Kukoc, a player who has been an international star since the age of 17. Charles Smith checking in. Tony, a member of Croatia's silver medal Olympic team. He was the MVP of the 1980 World Championships and the 1991 European Championships. Well, the Bulls had gone 14 for 14 at the free throw line. They now lead by 14. Just under 1 minute remaining, third quarter. Now the matchup is Kukoc and Mason. Mason able to pull his way through, using his strength against Kukoc.
Well, a very difficult matchup for Tony Kukoc. He just does not have the quickness or the strength to be able to muscle with Anthony Mason inside.
And that time Mason forced Kukoc into the bad pass, and a foul is called. A reach-in on Kukoc.
Tony Kukoc, who does have quick hands in the open floor, going to get a flick here and knock that ball loose, and the foul is called. And Tony, who does struggle somewhat with the English language, was able to scream out at the official, "No way, no way." There is Kukoc, and he is going to scream to the official as he felt he made a clean pick on Greg Anthony in midcourt.
And I think he made his point clearly in that instance. Anthony, usually a solid free throw shooter, misses on both. Half minute left in the third. Chicago leads by 12. Mason with a hand check on Kukoc. Kukoc got the step, forced the shot. He drew the foul. And Grant and Smith having words, and Ewing able to break it up.
Well, of course, when you're guarding Horace Grant, your main job at the offensive end is keep him off the offensive boards. Everybody's focus was on Tony Kukoc as he drove to the basket. Ewing coming over to help out, and Charles Smith in his effort to try to hold off Horace Grant. And a lot of times you can't do it with a conventional box out. You have to face him and almost block him out like an offensive guard in football.
Well, Charles Smith and Horace Grant in a verbal war, and Patrick Ewing, the wiser head, was able to keep them apart. Now Bill Weddington and Scott Williams replace Horace Grant and Luke Longley, and they are hearing it from the crowd. Scottie Pippen off the bench to greet both.
Patrick Ewing trying to let his teammates know as who's guarding who, and so they don't have any mistakes as they did in the first half on not finding their proper men.
Kukoc 7 of 8 from the line. Out of 10 seconds remaining in the third. Here's the trap on Anthony. Out of 5 seconds. Ewing not realizing the time, popped it up a little early, and now Kukoc fires it away. So after 3, the Bulls by 14. This the story at the end of the third quarter. In the previous three, the Bulls led by 9, led by 3, led by 19. Can they hold on today to send this to a 2-2 situation with Game 5 in New York on Wednesday?
Even with dual airbags, power windows, air conditioning, cruise control, and a powerful 6-cylinder engine, the Mazda 626 still costs less than a 4-cylinder Camry LE. And you can take that to the bank.
Are you still drinking the old thing? Try the next thing, Powerade. With 33% more carbos than Gatorade and a taste you can really slam. Powerade, the next thing.
The Radio City Rockettes present I Love This Game.
Final analysis, NBC Monday at 8:30, 7:30 Central. When we introduced the Dodge National Minivan Sale, we knew people would like getting great option discounts on the minivan that already exceeds 1998 car safety requirements. Just like they've always enjoyed air at no extra charge with the Caravan Family Value Package. But when people hear that their savings can total $2,600, well, we're taking appropriate measures. See your nearest Dodge dealer today.
What would you expect for $7.99? How about any medium pizza from Pizza Hut? Because right now, Pizza Hut is giving you any medium pizza with any toppings for just $7.99. It's incredible. It's the unbeatable Pizza Hut deal. That's any toppings, any crust, any medium pizza, just $7.99. What else would you expect from Pizza Hut?
Sign up today for the Boulder. Call 444-RACE.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
We welcome you back to Chicago. Marv Albert, Matt Gukas, and Ahmad Rashad in what has been a dreaded fourth quarter for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls do have the sizable lead, 79-65. The Bulls shooting 48% for the game to this point. And in the series, they have shot 48% over 3 quarters, but only 31% from the floor in the fourth. Let's see what develops here as Anthony Mason pumps it out to Greg Anthony. And a foul is called. Foul on Kukoc, his second. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, during that quarter break, Phil Jackson telling his team to be very much aware of tempo control. He doesn't want them to let the crowd to affect them emotionally. They don't need to try to blow this game out. Just try to do the things that they do to try to win the game. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. Yes, the Bulls trying to save their energy as Patrick Ewing opens up to cut it down to 12. Scottie Pippen is on the bench along with Horace Grant. Phil Jackson wants both of them full of energy for that final run. So it's Paxson and Kerr at the guards. Williams, Kukoc, Wellington up front. Williams on the follow. Scott Williams with his fourth field goal. He has given a big lift. 9 points for Williams. And the Bulls lead 81-67. Charles Oakley getting set to return for the Knicks. Kerr rejecting the pass from Anthony.
Oh, there's just no way you can make an entry pass to the low post where Greg Anthony is trying to do it. He's way up above the three-point line. He's got to take that ball below the free throw line extended to get a better angle. Greg Anthony's been a step slow all night. When the man leads into double team, he doesn't seem aware when the ball comes back to him what he should be doing when he catches it.
Charles Smith replaced by Charles Oakley. Anthony and Starks in the backcourt. Again, Kerr got a piece of it. Shot clock at 1. Starks did not realize. 24 seconds. Violation.
Excellent defense by Steve Kerr on a couple of deflections, and the Knicks really losing their poise there, unaware of the shot clock. Very poor execution, but give credit to the defense of Chicago, in particular Steve Kerr.
Coach again guarded by Mason, but the call made away from the ball against the Knicks. John Oakley is fourth.
Well, playoff defense always is tough, but it really picks up in the fourth quarter, and nobody knows it better than these New York Knicks as Oakley battling for inside position.
Minute and a half gone by in the fourth. Scott Williams checking the shot clock. Here's Williams. Air ball. Off the scramble, Ewing lost it.
Everybody getting on the floor after the loose ball and dug out by Patrick Ewing, but just could not hold it as he flipped that ball out of bounds. And now I guess they're going to change the call.
Well, the Knicks were screaming for a 24-second violation, and apparently they will get that call. It is a 24-second violation against the Bulls.
Actually, it was very, very close as that ball just crossed the end-line plane, and it still showed 1 second on the clock.
The claim is that the Knicks never had possession, that the ball was in the midst of a scramble. Foul called. Paxson a hold. Timeout being taken by the Knicks. We are set up for a furious finish. Bulls lead by 14.
The NBA playoffs continue on NBC next weekend.
What is it about Ford Taurus that makes it America's best-selling car? Is it the length Taurus wagon goes to keep your family safe? Or the way it makes you forget you're driving a wagon while giving you everything you buy a wagon for? Perhaps it's all these things, and the fact you'd be happy to own it, even if you didn't need the room. Ford Taurus, the best-selling car in America, again.
They created their microprocessor in 1971, and the faster their chips have performed, the faster their company has grown. Today, the Intel design is the brains behind 2/3 of the world's PCs. By the 21st century, Intel expects their chip to execute 2 billion instructions in 1 second. Where do you find such fast-thinking companies? Actually, there's a list of them printed every day. NASDAQ, the stock market for the next 100 years.
Pop quiz, hotshot. There's a bomb on a bus. If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do?
The game began with the ultimate test.
Where's Jack? Where do you think?
Now,
Stay on or get off.
Get off.
This is much better.
he's the only solution.
Pop quiz. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do?
Keanu Reeves.
What do you do?
Speed, rated R, starts Friday, June 10th at theaters everywhere.
After midnight, we're gonna let it all hang out.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft.
After midnight, we're gonna check
the cold one. For those who've discovered its smooth draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
We're gonna call talking.
So get out of the old and get into the cold.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Today's Miller Moment takes us back to Game 4, last year's conference finals, the Bulls versus the Knicks, and it was vintage Michael Jordan. Jordan pulling out the full arsenal. He hit 18 of 30 from the field, including 6 of 9 from three-point range. He finished with 54 points as the Bulls won 105 to 95. Jordan bouncing back from a 3 for 18 in game number 3. In recognition of that moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. 9:40 remaining. Fourth quarter. Chicago 81. The Knicks 67. Phil Jackson staying with Kerr and Paxson in the backcourt. Kukoc caught right now with Williams up front. Rebounded by Mason.
Well, it's an indication of how much tougher the Knicks defense gets in the fourth quarter on the first attempted penetration by Kukoc. Mason leveled them off, but then Kukoc persistently was able to drive by.
And Kukoc falling down that rebound on the Anthony miss. Cartwright. Starks knocked it away. Starks with the steal. And Anthony resets. Shot clock at 8. Mason easily around Williams.
Very difficult customer down on that left block. You just have to come down and double team him as we watch Scottie Pippen meditate over there as Phil Jackson trying to buy as much time as possible to have Scottie as fresh as he can be for the finish.
Horace Grant getting set to check back in. And a pushing foul called. Foul committed by Ewing. His second. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Mark, during that last timeout, Scottie Pippen pulled me aside and said that even though he's resting, the game is so intense that he feels like he's burning energy even though he's sitting on the bench. Mark?
All right, Ahmad. Scottie Pippen with only 2 personal fouls. 8 of 16 from the field. He's had an outstanding game. 21 points, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds. And obviously, Phil Jackson looking to get maximum. Paxson with his second field goal. Bulls lead 83 to 69. And I would think very shortly, Scottie Pippen will be waved on. Foul committed by John Paxson.
Well, it's the Chicago Bull defense so far in this fourth period that has been much more aggressive and forcing tough plays with the exception of when the ball goes inside to Anthony Mason.
Thus far in this fourth quarter, the Knicks and the Bulls have each scored 4 points. Offensive foul. Greg Anthony in a collision with Steve Kerr.
And Steve Kerr has been the catalyst in much of this defensive play in the fourth period with his quick hands, and that time moving his feet very well and maybe sticking out the leg a little bit to catch Anthony on the charge.
Nice move on a crossover by Kerr. 7 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the fourth. Kukoc putting the move on Mason. And then his pass picked off by Anthony. Starks. Offensive foul.
John Starks out of control here as John Paxson slides way over, and really not a good call there as John Paxson was moving. And the reaction by the Bull bench, they like it. Pat Riley, on the other hand, hated it, and John Starks really had to keep his poise and control and not jumping at referee Jake O'Donnell. Jake would have nailed him.
Big break for the Knicks. Scottie Pippen has checked back in. Bulls lead 83-69 as we come up on 7 minutes remaining. Fourth quarter. Here's Armstrong, who also just came back. Rebounded by Oakley. Charles Oakley with his 14th rebound. Anthony Mason looking for position on Scottie Pippen. It will be Chicago ball.
Well, as strong as Anthony Mason is, and Scottie Pippen saying he's the strongest guy in the league for him to deal with, he was able to nudge him way off his spot and force that earned pass and turnover by New York.
24th turnover by the Knicks. Chicago with only 10. Very difficult matchup for Pippen going against Mason. Cartwright. Back come the Knicks. Not able to get going to this point. This time, the foul is called on Paxson. Blocking foul on Paxson. That's his third. Timeout taken. 6:32 to go. Fourth quarter.
Grandpa Shaq, tell us how basketball used to be.
Well, the basket wasn't always 20 feet tall.
What about 100-yard courts?
Not even close.
What happened?
All sport.
New All Sport. Unsurpassed taste. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy. This is a body quencher.
After all sport, the game was a breeze. Until they put in the moving basket.
All Sport. The game will never be the same.
A side note to what is taking place here in the fourth quarter. The Bulls try to hold on. Should the Knicks somehow come from way back and pull it out, there is the prospect as Mason is able to hit on the driving hook with a 3-1 commanding lead. If the Knicks would win here today, the prospect of not returning to Chicago Stadium, which would mean this would be the finale for the Bulls. But the way things are going, as Scottie Pippen is able to penetrate, it appears that there will be a Game 6 back in Chicago on Friday night. Game 5 in New York on Wednesday. The Bulls now lead by 16, showing no signs of crumbling and receiving a standing ovation from this crowd.
Well, Phil's warning to his club to not get caught up in the emotion with the crowd has to be very, very difficult. They have been a big plus for this team, and right now the Bulls playing with an enormous amount of confidence.
Just under 5 minutes remaining in the fourth. Starks played on a switch by Grant. Ewing. Mason on the follow. Anthony Mason has 13 points. Chicago 87, New York 73.
And Mason, the only one of the New York Knicks really able to do anything offensively for New York in this fourth period. Patrick Ewing rushing some shots right now, but give the credit to the Bulls defense. They're challenging every shot.
Kukoc for three. Cartwright able to keep it alive. And a timeout taken by the Bulls.
Hey, there's that cool recliner.
Come on, ski jumping.
Oh, the recliner, come on.
Hey, how about both?
Miller Lite presents Recliner Ski Jump.
No way.
Boy, Johnson's ready. He's been training for this for years, Bob. Watch this layback. Brought to you by Miller Lite. If you can combine great taste with less filling, you can combine anything. He's got the record and the light. What a cheer.
What a beer.
Great taste, less filling. Can your beer do this?
When you want something better, aspire. Aspire to stop worrying about the little things. Aspire to conserve energy. Aspire to be better at handling surprises. Aspire to protect what's really important to you. Aspire to be smart with your money. Introducing the new Aspire from Ford, the lowest priced car with standard dual airbags. Aspire, a new kind of car for anyone reaching for something better.
A date on the calendar. Monthly exams. The beat of a heart. A glimpse into the future. All the pieces that add up to a large dose of caring and concern from a pioneer in managed healthcare. Because babies need to be taken care of well before they're born. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
If you can't get to World Cup '94, we'd like to point out that the preliminary matches for World Cup 2010 have already begun. And luckily enough, good seats are still available. McDonald's, proud sponsor of the world's biggest soccer game, even prouder sponsor of some of the world's smallest.
In 2 weeks, the world's greatest tennis players hold court at the sport's most grueling Grand Slam, the French Open, presented by Fresca. Coverage begins May 28th on NBC.
Well, with 7 seconds on the shot clock, Tony Kukoc's going to set up beyond the arc and let fly with a 3. And obviously, Phil Jackson is very upset with it as his assistant coaches, Tex Winter, Johnny Bach, and Jimmy Clemens almost had to circle the wagons around Phil, but Phil is now getting in some conversation with Tony to try to explain the situation. Phil very much aware of how tense things are with the healing process and wants to be very careful with his players.
Well, the Bulls have an 87-73 lead, looking to tie this series at 2. Pippen, open shot. Scottie Pippen receiving many good looks. He has 25 with just under 4 remaining in the fourth quarter. Patrick Ewing, a very quiet game, only 14 points for Ewing. Anthony gets inside, and the tip by Oakley. Greg Anthony is now 2 for 10 from the field.
And he can go by Scottie Pippen on the drive anytime he wants. Pippen is out there just to give him a little fluff defensively, and then when the ball goes to a score inside, Pippen's going to come down and double team. But Anthony has to make him pay for being the rover defensively.
Bulls have a 14-point lead. Shot clock is at 4. It's down to 2. Pippen for 3. And Ewing running 2. Cartwright call for his third. That's Hubert Davis checking back in, replacing John Starks. Foul by Cartwright. The Bulls' 15th foul, so the Knicks will go to the line. A reminder tonight, after the game, we hope you stay around for an all-new Sequest adventure. And that's followed by Joan Rivers and her daughter playing themselves in a world premiere movie. Tears and Laughter, the Joan and Melissa Rivers story, after an all-new Sequest tonight right here on NBC. Ewing is 3 of 3 from the line. He has only 15 points. John Paxson, who has been getting the playing time in the second half, has come on for Tony Kukoc. The stat line does not tell the story on Kukoc because he was so significant in coming on early when Scottie Pippen picked up the 2 fouls and distributed the ball well. Picked up 4 assists in the early going and did a nice job to keep the Bulls alive.
And really where he made an even bigger contribution was at the defensive end where he normally struggles.
Just under 3 minutes remaining in the fourth. Tough defensive sequence here by the Knicks. Pippen with the fake on Mason. Oh, the hustle by Grant took it away from Ewing. Horace Grant with an outstanding all-around performance. Bulls with the ball, a new 24, as they nurse a 12-point lead. Shot clock at 5. Armstrong for Grant, and he is fouled by Ewing.
Well, Horace Grant being very active on the offensive glass, going after everything, knocking this loose from Patrick Ewing to give the Bulls another possession. And then the penetration by B.J. Armstrong, something he's been able to do throughout this series, getting inside to draw the defense and kick off to Horace Grant.
How about the stat line on Grant? Now 17 points, along with 7 rebounds, 4 steals. The Knicks take a timeout. 2:28 remaining in the fourth. Bulls by 13.
What is it about Ford Taurus that makes it America's best-selling car? Is it Taurus SHO with its amazing handling and 24-valve, 220 horsepower performance, its driver-oriented interior, or the unique ways SHO finds to reward the driver like no other performance sedan? Ford Taurus SHO. Another reason why Taurus is the best-selling car in America. Again.
Hey, you get a tough case of athlete's foot, the itching, the cracking, the burning. You want a medicine that acts tough. Boom! Tough-actin Tinactin. Clinically proven Tinactin cures even tough cases of athlete's foot fungus. Get tough-actin Tinactin.
Every year, American business wastes millions on international calls using the wrong long-distance company. Now, with MCI's proof positive worldwide, you can save up to 41% on any two numbers you choose in Canada. Call and put that money back in your business.
Grandpa Shaq, tell us how basketball used to be.
Well, the basket wasn't always 20 feet tall.
What about 100-yard courts?
Not even close.
What happened?
All sport.
New All Sport. Unsurpassed taste. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy. This is a body quencher.
After All Sport, the game was a breeze. Until they put in the moving basket.
All Sport. The game will never be the same.
Tuesday, Saturday Night Live goes prime time with President Clinton's all-time favorite moments. Bill Hartman, Mike Myers, Martin Shaw, Dan Aykroyd, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Eddie Murphy, Michael McKeon, John Belushi, Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, Jane Curtin, Nancy Kerrigan, Chris Farley. It's Saturday Night Live in prime time, Tuesday at 8, 7 Central.
Well, with the Bulls up by 13 points, the Knicks going today without Derek Harper serving the first of his two-game suspension. You know, you look at these numbers, they don't look that impressive, but Derek Harper is so important to this ball club because as part of the composite guard picture, they need Derek Harper because Pat Riley likes to shuffle. He'll use a bit of Harper, use all kinds of mix and match combinations, and Harper's defensive play and his penetration and his savvy as a veteran are certainly missed, and he will not be with the club for game number 5 on Wednesday.
With his pressure defense, he sets that tone, but also he gets the ball club into their offense much more smoothly than they did it tonight. Greg Anthony really had a disappointing ball game, just 2 for 11 from the field.
That basket counts and the foul. Not to say that if Harper were here, things would be different, much different, but he certainly is a loss for the New York Knicks. And they will not have him as he serves the second of the two-game suspension for the involvement in the fight with JoJo English. Pippen on that rebound as Ewing came up short. We come up on 2 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. The Bulls lead 91-79.
2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter.
Paxson. John Paxson, 3 for 3 from the field. And he's played a big role out here today, as has Steve Kerr. Bulls lead 93-79. Anthony for 3. Davis on the follow. The tip by Oakley. Bulls 93. And the Knicks 81. Minute and a half remaining as the Knicks trap. And the Bulls able to get it to the front court. Pippen lost it. Here's Herb Williams. For Patrick Ewing. So Patrick Ewing departs with 18 points. 10 rebounds. Bulls again did a good job on Ewing.
And Phil Jackson reminded his team at the last time out he wanted to stop a possible flurry of three-point shots and still wanted to double-team Patrick Ewing. A tall order, but he thinks right now his team can do just about anything they want.
Herb Williams with a second field goal, and the Bulls now lead by 10 as we approach 1 minute remaining in the fourth quarter. For the first time in this series, the Chicago Bulls able to hold on in the fourth. The Knicks with come-from-behind efforts in the first 3 games of this best of 7. Anthony called for the recheck. Here's Luke Longley replacing Bill Cartwright.
Well, the Knicks defense did what they normally do. They held the Bulls to 14 points so far in this fourth period. The only problem was they were only able to muster 18 themselves.
Chicago would like to use as much as the shot clock as possible. Now 40 seconds to go in the fourth. And Armstrong just working it down. Knicks not giving any fouls. Next foul will put them over the limit. Luke Longley. Bulls 95. The Knicks 83. Anthony for 3. And it will be Chicago ball. And this crowd responding to the Chicago effort. This coming off the controversy of game number 3 here on Friday night. Scottie Pippen taking himself out of the game. The Bulls blowing the big lead. Tony Kukoc hitting the game-winning shot. But this series is tied at 2. As they head back to Madison Square Garden, New York for game number 5 on Wednesday. And there will be a game 6 back here in Chicago on Friday. The final, the Bulls 95 and the Knicks 83. We'll be back in a moment.